I came home at 17 after a long shift, expecting the usual chaos. But the house was empty. No furniture, no food, just a note in my mom's handwriting. You'll figure it out. They left me without a word. 12 years later, I'm a millionaire. And yesterday, they showed up on my doorstep, but they have no idea what I've planned. It was August 23rd, 2013, a sticky summer afternoon, the kind where the air feels like it's hugging you too tight. I was 17, a skinny kid with a worn-out backpack, trudging home from my summer job at a gas station. My hands smelled like motor oil, and I was dreaming of the cold soda I'd grabbed from the fridge. Our house was always loud. Mom yelling about unwashed dishes, Dad muttering at the evening news, my brother Jake blasting rap in his room. But when I pushed open the front door, the silence hit me like a punch. Mom, Dad, Jake? My voice echoed off the bare walls. The living room was empty. No couch, no TV, no coffee table cluttered with Mom's half-finished crossword puzzles. The kitchen was worse. Cabinets bare, fridge door swinging open, nothing inside but a lone ketchup packet. My heart started hammering. I ran upstairs, sneakers pounding, checking every room. My parents' bedroom, empty. Jake's room, empty. His posters gone, his bed stripped. My room was the only one untouched. My lumpy mattress still unmade. My Nirvana poster curling at the edges. That's when I saw it, back in the kitchen. A folded piece of paper on the counter. My name, Elliot, scrawled in Mom's loopy handwriting. I unfolded it, hands shaking. We had to leave. You're strong. You'll figure it out. That was it. No explanation, no apology, no phone number. My family, Mom, Dad, and Jake, my 15-year-old brother, had packed up and vanished, leaving me behind like a dog they didn't want to take to the new house. I sank to the floor, the note crumpled in my fist. My mind spiraled to moments I'd buried. When I spent all day baking Mom a birthday cake, my hands sticky with frosting, proud of the lopsided chocolate mess. She took one bite, wrinkled her nose, and said, "It's clumpy, Elliot. Next time, buy one." At 15, I stayed up late tutoring Jake in algebra, helping him pass a class he was failing. He rolled his eyes, called me a know-it-all, and slammed his door. At 16, I gave Dad my entire $200 paycheck from the gas station to cover the electric bill. He pocketed it, looked me up and down, and muttered, "You're useless anyway." Those weren't just bad days. They were signs. They never loved me. And now they'd made it official. The next morning, the landlord, Mr. Grayson, knocked on the door, his face grim. "Your parents canceled the lease, kid. You've got a week to get out." A week. I was 17 with $47 in my savings account. No car, no plan, and no family. I called Mom's cell, disconnected. Dad's, voicemail. Jake's, same. I scrolled through my phone, desperate for someone, anyone, but we'd moved so much I had no real friends. I was alone, staring at an empty house, wondering how I'd survive. That first night, I didn't sleep. I sat on my bedroom floor, the note in my hand, rereading it like it might suddenly explain everything. My mind kept replaying memories, good ones, bad ones, anything to make sense of it. There was the time Jake and I built a fort out of couch cushions when we were kids, laughing until Mom screamed at us to stop. Or the Christmas when Dad actually hugged me, his breath sharp with whiskey, but it felt real. Were those lies too? I didn't know. All I knew was the silence, the emptiness, and the ticking clock on my week to leave. I packed what I could carry, a backpack with 3 t-shirts, jeans, a toothbrush, and a faded photo of me and Jake at a county fair, both of us grinning, cotton candy stuck to our faces. The landlord let me store a few boxes in his garage, old books, a blanket, my high school diploma. But I had nowhere to go. I ended up renting a 5x5 storage unit with my last $30, a concrete box with a flickering bulb and a rusty lock. I'd sneak in after dark, curl up on a sleeping bag, and pray the night guard didn't check. Showers came from a YMCA free trial pass I stretched in for weeks, pretending I was just a gym rat. Food was whatever I could scrounge. peanut butter packets swiped from a diner, smeared on stale bread from their dumpster. I got a job at that diner, a greasy spoon called Rosie's, washing dishes for $5 an hour under the table. The manager, Carla, was a godsend. She was in her 50s with a smoker's rasp and a heart bigger than the diner itself. She'd slide me extra fries, let me nap in the break room during slow shifts, and pay me cash so I could eat. "You're a good kid, Elliot," she'd say, ruffling my hair like I was her own. I never told her I was sleeping in a storage unit, but I think she knew. One night, a regular named Tom, a grizzled guy with a trucker hat and a penchant for black coffee and eggs, noticed me scrubbing pots. "Kid, you look like you're carrying the world," he said, his voice gruff but kind. I shrugged, too tired to talk, but he kept at it, asking questions over weeks. When I finally admitted I was on my own, he didn't pity me. Instead, he offered me a job cleaning files at his small accounting firm. "It's boring as hell," he said, "but it pays better than this dump." That job was my lifeline. I started at $10 an hour, organizing dusty records in a cramped office. Tom saw I was quick and taught me the basics of bookkeeping, balancing ledgers, spotting errors, filing taxes. I soaked it up like a sponge. By 20, I was freelancing for small businesses, balancing their books after hours. By 22, I had my own clients, mom and pop shops, a few startups. By 25, I started a consulting business, helping startups manage finances and scale. By 27, I had an office, 3 contractors, and a reputation for turning chaos into profit. By 29, I was a millionaire, savings in the bank, no debt, in a 1-bedroom apartment with a view of the city skyline. But success didn't erase the pain. Every night I'd lie awake, staring at that skyline, haunted by the empty house. I'd dream of the note, of Mom's handwriting, of Jake's silence, of my mom. I started therapy at 24, unpacking the abandonment, the anger, the way I still flinched when a doorbell rang, expecting bad news. My therapist, Dr. Nguyen, helped me name the hurt: betrayal, neglect, a family that saw me as disposable. I was healing, but the scars ran deep. 12 years after they left, my life was steady. I had a routine: coffee at 7 a.m., client calls, gym sessions, therapy on Thursdays. I'd built a life from nothing, but the past was always there, a shadow I couldn't shake. Then a podcast changed everything. A friend, Sarah, ran a small podcast about family estrangement. She convinced me to share my story, promising it'd be cathartic. I didn't expect much, just a chance to process out loud. But the episode, titled "The Note That Broke Me," went viral. Millions of downloads, comments flooding in, strangers calling me inspiring or a survivor. I didn't feel like either. I felt exposed, like I'd ripped open a wound for the world to see. Then the email started. Mom's came first, cold and formal, like a job application. "Elliot, we heard your podcast. We'd like to reconnect. Please call." No apology, no warmth. Jake's was next, longer, softer, but laced with hints of desperation. "I miss you, man. Things have been rough. Can we talk?" Dad's was last, blunt and shameless. "You've done well for yourself. We need help. It's time to give back to your family." Give back to the people who left me with nothing but a note? I reread the emails, my hands shaking with rage, and something else, curiosity. What did they want? Why now? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet Jake in Chicago, where he lived with his wife Jenny and their daughter Lily. We met at a diner, not unlike Rosie's, the smell of coffee and bacon grease thick in the air. Jake was 27 now, but he looked older, his eyes sunken, his shoulders hunched like he was carrying guilt. "I'm sorry," he said, voice cracking. "I was 15. I didn't have a choice. Mom and Dad said it was best." I sipped my coffee, studying him. "You had a choice to call," I said. "For 12 years, you had a choice." He looked away, admitted they'd moved to chase Dad's big business idea, a construction startup that tanked within a year. They were broke, living in a rented trailer, drowning in debt. Mom called a week later, her voice syrupy, fake. "We left to spare you our mess, Elliot," she said. "We knew you'd be fine. She sent old photos, me and Jake at the county fair, mom hugging me at Christmas, all smiles. The images twisted my gut, memories clashing with the truth of their betrayal. I hung up mid-sentence and blocked her number. Dad's emails kept coming, each one bolder, demanding money, ignoring what they'd done. When I didn't respond, they escalated. Mom showed up at my apartment one night, banging on the door, yelling about family loyalty. Neighbors peeked out, and I called the police, my heart pounding. Jake called the next day, panicked. They'd broken into his house, stolen old photos of me, my high school records, anything to prove they were part of my success. They sent me a letter with a photo of Lily, my 4-year-old niece, and a note. You wouldn't want her to suffer, would you? Then I saw their car parked outside my building, Dad's silhouette in the driver's seat, watching. I was done. Done hiding, done hurting, done letting them think they could bully their way back into my life. I hired a lawyer, Marcus, a sharp guy with a knack for cutting through nonsense. We compiled everything, emails, texts, the stolen photos, records of their restraining order violations. Marcus got 3-year restraining orders against Mom and Dad, but they violated them within weeks, sending more threats, parking outside my office. I tracked them to a coffee shop in their new town, a dingy place with chipped mugs and sticky tables. Marcus prepped me, but this was my fight. I walked in, my folder of evidence under my arm, my heart pounding, but my voice steady. They were at a corner table, Mom sipping tea, Dad scrolling his phone. They froze when they saw me. Sit, I said, sliding into the booth. Mom started her fake tears, but I cut her off. No, you don't get to cry. You left me at 17 with a note. You don't get to play victim. I laid out the evidence, printouts of their emails, texts, the photo of Lily, timestamps of their car outside my building. You've threatened me, stalked me, broken into Jake's house. I've got enough to ruin you, legally, silly, and in this little town where everyone knows you. Dad's face went red, his fist clenched, but he didn't speak. Mom whispered, we're family. I leaned in, my voice low and cold. Family doesn't abandon a kid. Family doesn't steal, lie, or extort. You're not my family. I slid the folder across the table, copies of their threats, ready to send to their church group, their neighbors, their last few friends. One more move, and this goes out. You'll have nowhere to hide. They were silent, eyes wide, finally out of excuses. I stood, left the folder, and walked out. The air outside felt lighter, like I'd shed a weight I'd carried for 12 years. 6 months later, they sent letters. Not emails, but handwritten letters, mailed to my office. Mom's was long, admitting she'd been selfish, scared of their financial ruin, and thought leaving me was best for me. Dad's was shorter, gruff, but acknowledged he'd failed as a father. I didn't respond, but I kept the letters, proof I'd drawn a line they couldn't cross. Jake was different. He and Jenny moved closer, renting a place an hour away. We started small, coffee dates, then dinners at my apartment. Jenny was warm, grounded, and Lily was a whirlwind, all giggles and sticky fingers. Last month, we celebrated Lily's 4th birthday, my apartment filled with balloons, laughter, and the smell of chocolate cake. Not clumpy this time. Jake's trying, apologizing in small ways, and I'm learning to trust him. We're building a new family, one Sunday dinner at a time, one memory at a time. I still go to therapy. I still flinch at doorbells, half expecting Mom or Dad to show up. But I'm not defined by that empty house or that note. I'm defined by Carla's fries, Tom's job offer, my own stubborn grit. The revenge wasn't just the confrontation or the restraining orders. It was living well, choosing who gets to be in my life, and finding peace they'll never take away. I look at Lily's drawings on my fridge, hear Jake's laugh over a beer, and know I've built something they can't touch. Thanks for sticking out with my story. It's a long one, but if it hit you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories of resilience and drop a comment. Have you ever had to cut toxic people out to find your own peace? Let's talk.